All right, back with more draft recaps. We'll be doing these, basically all today, getting all the teams done. So Giants here, who had a draft that I thought was a really strong draft. I mean, you look at the chart you see next to me is the way it works. Is the first number is when the player was drafted. Next number over when they were expected to be drafted, or where did they rank on the consensus big board, I should say. Then you have the player name and the position. And you see pretty much every pick, with the exception of their last one, was either they got someone around when they were supposed to be drafted or earlier, or as in like they were supposed to go earlier and you got them, a good value pick, which is always good. That tends to help out, especially when your team like the Giants, who I do think has a lot of needs. We have seen, with the exception of their one playoff year, kind of picking early in the draft for a few years now. So going out and getting a couple, a star and then a lot of, I think, quality players and a lot of players with potential is a good thing to have happen. And, it's all going to start with Malik Neighbors, who I don't think that, sometimes you look at these drafts and it all comes down to one pick. I don't think that's fully the case with the Giants, but certainly a lot of it comes down to Malik Neighbors. I mean, listen, if Neighbors hits, no one's going to care about how the rest of this draft went, probably. If more guys hit, cool, but Neighbors, if he hits, he can bring so much to this team. Getting an elite level wide receiver is huge. I mean, wide receivers, I think, still are a bit undervalued. There's a reason why, teams that win Super Bowls or get far in the playoffs tend to either be a team led by Patrick Mahomes or teams with loaded receiving cores, right? So getting that down, which has been a real issue for the Giants, even the year they made the playoffs, receiving core was an issue. Getting a guy like Neighbors, it does a lot of really good, it can do a lot of really good stuff. Without a doubt, I wouldn't be shocked at all if he is wide receiver one when it's all said and done from this draft class. I know, Marvin Harrison Jr. Was, super hyped up. Hey, remember when Sammy Watkins was the super hyped up wide receiver, and then Mike Evans went a couple picks later, and he ended up having the better career? You never know anything, right? So, and Neighbors' athleticism is just so dominant. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he is, and again, who cares if he's better than Marvin Harrison Jr.? What you want is just for him to be great, and I think he'll be great. So he was number 3 on the consensus big board, which I don't know how that happened, but definitely someone that most people were very high on. I believe I had him at 4 on my own personal board. So getting him at 6, I think the Giants fans were very happy. There was that sort of quarterback run and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what I think about that. And I think they were happy that someone went, and maybe they wanted Joe Alt, I don't know, but I think they were happy that someone went Joe Alt and they were able to get Neighbors there. Tyler Nubin is a player I really liked. I had him as a first rounder, goes, kind of projected to be a mid-second rounder. I had him late first round, and he goes right when he was projected, 47th on the consensus big board. They got him at 47, so it's always funny when those things work out. Hey, their projections are a thing for a reason, right? I think Nubin could be a really good player. I'm a little surprised people are as low on him as they seem to be. I almost wonder if there's a positional value aspect to it. But again, the Giants kind of just need players. And I think sometimes we overthink this stuff. Nubin just feels like he's someone who should come in and be a solid contributor right away. So I don't know, getting a solid starting safety, there's value in that, especially when they lost McKinney. They need to get a replacement. So not that I think they're drafting for need specifically, but hey, when the guy you want also fits a need, I like this. I think he'll be a good player for them. So, a potential star and then a guy who should be a starter in round 2. So far, so good. Andrew Phillips is an interesting player. I believe I actually spelled his name wrong. It's Andrew Phillips, A-N-D-R-U. There's an R in there. So, hey, part of the drinking game watching these videos is take a drink every time I have a misspelling. It happens. So, sorry, Andrew. But, an interesting player. He is definitely someone who's a bit of a project. He has, good athleticism, but the kind of question is, and I think he didn't play a lot in college, so it's kind of I think the hope that you have is that, well, maybe it's, he played for Kentucky, they kind of shifted schemes while he was there, so now you're in a situation where it's been tough for him to fully master a defense. You compare him to someone like we see the defenders who play 4 years, they get, or to get to like they're 23 in college, and then they played 4 years and they completely mastered their defense, and everyone's like, wow, that guy's so smart. Well, maybe Phillips is just as smart. He just didn't get the opportunities that the other guys did to master the defense, or maybe he's just not going to quite have the anticipation other guys are. There's a bit of a projection there, which is why he fell to 70, but still, I think this is a quality pick. Like I said, every pick was either they're getting a guy, early, with good value or kind of fair value. This was a fair value pick, projected to go 75th, so that's always good. Then Theo Johnson, the tight end, who some people really like. I get, it's totally get. I mean, again, this you can't teach size. And the guy has size. He's 6'6", 260. So definitely a physical, the physical stuff is good. I will say, I wasn't overly impressed with the blocking the way you might want to be, given the fact that, you do look at his size and think, oh my God, this guy's going to be, a mauler. Not really the case. Now, there's still plenty to like about him, and kind of does a lot of little things well. Like, there's not really a lot of critiques I have with him. So, again, I think he should come in. The question is, can he be like a good, starter guy you draft in fantasy, or is he just going to be like a quality player who, is a solid role player for the next 10 years? Hey, there's value either way, though. So for pick 107, getting a solid role player would not be the worst thing in the world. At pick 166, they went with running back Tyrone Tracy Jr., so you got to replace Saquon Barkley to some degree. I don't know if Tracy Jr. is going to do that, but at least get depth in that position can help. An interesting player. I don't think they drafted him just to be like a special teams guy at 166, but I'm sure the fact that he plays a position that usually can play special teams is a benefit here. Anytime you can get a guy who can check multiple boxes, that is a plus. But I don't know. He's an interesting player. I think, he is someone who, good athleticism, for sure. And he would show it off. I think the concern that most people have with Tracy Jr. is he's someone who would often maybe try to do too much. He would, with the ball in his hands, he's trying to hit a home run every time. And I think that, listen, that's what Saquon Barkley often did, but he would get away with it even at the NFL level. I think people are worried Tracy Jr. will not be able to get away with it at the NFL level. And so therefore, you kind of have to, you'll have to figure out other stuff. So he'll probably have to, there's a bit of coaching up that probably needs to be done with him, but still, could be a quality back. And honestly, a lot of times backs here, if they get the carries, end up still being pretty good. So I'd rather draft the guy here than second overall. Sorry, Giants fans, but that's how I view it. You didn't have Darius Muasu, the linebacker, who was kind of projected just to be a special teams guy, projected to go 244. This is the only real reach on their board. It is a pretty significant one, over 50 spots, though. So, not my favorite selection. You can still get good players at 183, and maybe he'll be one of them. Just reading about him, I did not do a deep dive on him, but, there are things to like. He does have some impressive highlights, watching his highlight reels, preparing for this video, but, there definitely is a bit of, just from what I understand, kind of player who he guesses a lot. He'll say, okay, I think this is going to be a running play. Let me just go down there now and try to make a play. And so when it hits, it looks awesome. But then when it's a play action, now he's completely out of position. So, again, a lot of coaching up that might need to be done. And it's one of those things where sometimes for a player like that, if you coach him up and get him in position, they don't have the physical tools to actually stay in position. It's the kind of thing where part of what made him good in college was his guessing and his being able to over pursuing, but the NFL level, you just can't do that. So, again, reason to like him, should be a pretty good a special teamer, if nothing else. Also not the biggest guy, but, if they draft him to be a special teamer, it's a bit high, but he should be a good special teamer at the very least. So I think he'll make the roster. And hey, you make the roster, eventually you can get some playing time. And, I could be wrong because, again, he will make the splashes. So he's a little bit more interesting than your average linebacker projected to go into mid-200s. That is probably a special teamer. I'll say that. So, those are kind of my thoughts on all of this. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.